Welcome to Excel and Business Math video number 14. Hey, in this video, we got to talk about converting decimals to fractions and converting fractions to decimals. And we'll get to see how to do it by hand and in Excel. I don't know about you, but this looks like more fun by hand than in Excel, but maybe not. All right, we're going to first start off by going over to PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you how to do it by hand with a pen and paper.
All right, we'd like to see how to convert a decimal to a fraction. Here are the steps. We'll go ahead and start with the decimal 0.875. Now, step 1 says write the decimal over the number 1. Hey, equal sign, am I allowed to just take any old number and do fraction bar over 1? You betcha. Any number divided by itself, of course, is itself. But here's the trick. Now we're going to repeat this over 1 and very carefully put the decimals line up. And then I'm going to slide it 1, 2, 3 times to put a decimal there. So I'll rewrite it as 875. But if I do something to the top, I got to do it to the bottom too. 1, 2, 3 times. But there's nothing there. No problem. You fill it in with zeros. So now we get 875 divided by 1,000.
Equal sign, and we have to reduce the fraction. Well, I'm going to come off to the side, 875.
And we have to check for all of the possible prime factors. Now, I'm first going to ask the question, does 2 go into 875? No, it doesn't. How about 3? That one doesn't either. But 5, I think 5 does go in to 875.
Now, if I can't do that in my head, wow, I'm going to have to come off to the side here and say how many 5s are in 875. There's 1 5. So I put a 5 here, and I'll subtract to get a 3 remainder. Bring the 7 down. 5 goes into 35 7 times. Let's see, I'm going to have to do this off to the side. Minus 35. So these will have to line up here. So we have a remainder 2. I bring this down here. 5. How many 5s are in 25? 5. Wow, that took a long time there. 175. Now, 5, how many 5s are in 175? Well, I know there's 20 in the 100 part. And if I'm counting on my fingers, there's 5 in each 25. So there's 325, so it's 15. So 20 plus 15 would be 35. Now, I know that 5 goes into 35 exactly 7 times. That's a prime number, so I have a 7, and I'm left with 1. So here they are. These right here, 5, 5, 5, and a 7. So in the top over here, I'm going to say 5, 5, 5, 7. Now, what about the denominator? I bet you there's a lot of 2s. So there's a 2. That gives me 502. That gives me 250. 2, that gives me 125. 2 does not go into 125, but I don't think 3 does. 5 does, because there are 25s in the 100 part and 5s in this 25 part. So I'm going to try a 5 into there. That goes 25 times. Now I know 5 goes into that. I'm left with 5 because there's 5 5s in 25. I do one more 5, and I'm left with 1. So there's all of the prime factors, not including 1.
So I list them 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 5.
And I'm going to cross out any factors that are in the top and bottom. So look, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And look at that. I'm left with just one single prime factor in the top. So I don't even have to bother with those. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I'm left with 7 eighths. And I have converted from a decimal all the way into there is my properly reduced fraction. Now, the opposite of converting a decimal to a fraction is
fraction to, and this was the first thing. Here's the second thing we're going to do in this video. Fraction to a decimal.
But we already did this in video number 10 when we talked about division, fractions, and decimals. If we were going to do a simple example, hey, there's the fraction. Well, of course, with a fraction, it means division. So we would say, how many 5s are in 2? Well, you know what? I can't find a whole 5 in 2, so I put a decimal and a 0. If I put a decimal down there, I have to put the decimal in the top 2 and then put a 0. Now I say how many 5s are in 20. I think I'm counting on my fingers. There are 4. So that is 2 divided by 5. That's the fraction, and we converted it using division to 0.4. All right, now we're going to go over to Excel and see how to convert a decimal to a fraction.
Now over here in Excel, I'm on the sheet Convert. Now here's the same example, convert a decimal 0.875 to a fraction. Now, it's going to be a lot easier over here in Excel because we can have a formula check each one of the primes. Here's our list of primes. Now, we still have to do the same thing. We have to slide the decimal 1, 2, 3 times. So that means we have 875 and a 1 with 3 zeros. Now, I'm going to create the formula here, equals up arrow divided by left arrow. Control Enter and copy it down. Not only that, I'm going to copy all of those formulas because it's the same formula over here. Control V, copy it down. Now I can just plug away. Starting right at the top, I'm going to try a 2. Escape to turn those dancing ants off. 2, Control Enter. It's a decimal, so I know I have to go on to the next prime. I'm going to try a 3, Control Enter. Still a decimal, so I go on to the next prime, 5. 5, Control Enter. No decimals, so that one's good. Now I try 5 again. Control Enter. That's working. 5, Control Enter. That's working too. I know 7 is a prime, so I put 7 and enter. So there are the prime factors for 875. Now 1,000. 2, enter. 2, enter. 2, enter. And 125, that's definitely not divisible by 2, but I'm going to try 3. Nope. So I try the next one, 5. That will work. 5 definitely goes into 25, and 5 definitely goes into 5. So those are the prime factors. Now I'm going to match up, find all of the matching prime factors in both the numerator and the denominator. I'm going to highlight these 3 5s because I see 1, 2, 3 over here, and use our keyboard for strike through, Control 5. Over here, I'm going to highlight the 3 5s in the denominator, Control 5. So it looks like I'm left with 7 and 3 2s. I'm going to list the numerator over here, equals 7, and enter. And I need to multiply these 2s, so I'm going to use equals product tab, and that will multiply 1, 2, 3. Close parentheses and enter. Equals up arrow to get the 7 divided by up arrow to get the 8. Control Enter. Control 1 to open up Format Cells, and I'm going to go straight to Custom. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be lazy here. I should have picked this up. When I'm sure that it's just single digit, I can use the Home, the drop down, and Fraction. I can already see the preview there. That's the built-in version. So I like it over in Excel because I can test each one of the primes and see if I get a number without any decimals. In your homework over here, 1 to 4, there's some more complicated ones, so this method will really help. Now, I got to show you something else because example number 1, we converted a decimal to a fraction. But we want to convert a fraction to a decimal for common fractions. Wow, Excel can really help us. We can literally convert all of the fractions that we use all the time into a decimal. Now, I've already done a few. I actually manually typed these labels out, and I've done a few of the formulas. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to type equals 1 divided by 16, enter. I've already formatted that. Equals 1 divided by 9, enter. Equals 1 divided by 8, enter. So I didn't want to create all of these during the video, but I manually created all these. And since I'm going to use it over and over, it's definitely worth the time. Now I can simply say equals, left arrow as a relative cell reference, Control Enter. That sucked the number formatting, so I'm going to go up to Home and apply General, because I want to see all the possible decimals. Now I'm going to come to the formula, double click and send it down. And there I have a complete conversion list of all of these fractions and all the decimals. Now I might want to show equals, left arrow, Control Enter, double click and send it down. While they're all highlighted, I'm going to Control 1 to open up Format Cells. And we want to go to Number. And I can use increase decimal, 1, 2. I might want a column in my conversion table that shows the decimals shown with only 4 decimals. Click OK. And that's pretty handy. All my fractions, all the decimals, and even decimals to 4 positions. Now you got to be careful here, because notice, look at that. I might look at my table and see 0.667. Now that might be fine for some calculations, but that definitely is not equivalent to 2 divided by 3, because 2 divided by 3 has decimals that keep on going. In fact, let's highlight this column, Control 1, and on Number, let's just type 15 here. Actually, let's type 17. Click OK. That symbol there means the column is not wide enough. I'm going to click and drag. Notice I did 17 because I already knew that there were only 15 decimals possible in Excel. If you want to show past the 17th, you can't do it in Excel. So I'm going to Control 1 and leave it at down, down, 15. Click OK. But really, 1 divided by 3 is a repeating decimal that goes on forever. Same with 2 divided by 3. So let's just look at example 3. Be careful of either rounded decimals or displayed decimals. And I'm going to change this. Rounded would be officially rounded using the round function. But if you display them and use that in some calculation, 0.6667, it's not equivalent to 2 divided by 3. So I'm going to list a label here. So we can do that with lead apostrophe 2 divided by 3, enter, lead apostrophe 0.667, enter. And I'm going to say, are they equal? Enter. Now here I'm going to make a formula, equals 2 divided by 3. If you really want 2/3 in Excel, type it in like that. Because if you type in 0.667 and hit enter, you might be able to display them so that they look equal, but they're definitely not equal. In fact, I'm going to do the same as down here. I'm going to put 0.6667. And if I check to see if they're equal, we already know the answer. I use comparative operator equal and get the second cell reference and enter. That is false. So if you want 2/3, type equals 2 divided by 3, and you'll get all the decimals out to 15 positions like down here. That is an estimate for 2 divided by 3. All right, now I want to go look at our next example. I want to go over to the sheet 16th table. Now, the instructions here are create a fraction to decimal conversion table, kind of like we did over here, but for 16th fraction, and we want to add page setup so it will print nicely. Now let's learn a couple good tricks here. I'm going to type 1, enter, 2, enter. And if I highlight 1 and 2 and point to my fill handle with my angry rabbit and click and drag, look what happens. It automatically increments by 1. Control Z The reason it did that is because when I type 1, 2, I've established the pattern. Please always add 1. So when I click and drag down to 16, there we go. Great quick way to create consecutive numbers. Now, I want to show you a special type of formula. We've learned number formulas and logical formulas, but I want to teach you about something called a text formula. Now, my goal is to have 1 divided by 16, 2 divided by 16, 3 divided by 16, and so on. But I want it to show up as a label. So I'm going to say equal sign, and then I'm going to click on that. Right now, it would show up as a number, but we're going to use the join symbol, the ampersand. It's Shift 7. That symbol, the fancy name is ampersand, but it's a join symbol. Anytime we use this join symbol, it will join things together. And what I want is I want to join each one of these numbers with a relative cell reference to division symbol 16. Now, in order to type some text into a formula, I cannot type, because if it's text, you have to put it in double quotes. Now that I have it in double quotes, the ampersand will work. I'm allowed to join whatever is in one cell to the left and division 16. So watch this. Control-Enter. We already know it's text because it's a line to the left. I can double-click and send it down. That's pretty cool. Go to the last cell, F2, and Enter. Now, that'll be our label. But now we can just create from a formula to calculate all of our 16ths. Equal left arrow as a relative cell reference, divided by 16. Notice, divided by 16, that's a math operation with a relative cell reference, formula input, and a hard-coded number. Control-Enter, double-click, and send it down. Go to the last cell and hit F2. That's looking good. Now, if I Control P to print, notice it's got a bunch of stuff I don't want. Not only that, but I would like to increase the size and have a footer at the bottom. Escape. So we're going to highlight the range we would like to print, go up to the Page Layout tab, and in Page Setup, I can say Print Area, Set Print Area. Now, just with that one page setup trick, when I Control P, I can see I've excluded the other stuff on the page. Now I'm going to click Escape. Now I want to go back up to Page Layout. Here's Page Setup, and the dialog launcher will give us all the options for page setup. So I'm going to click that dialog launcher. Here's Page Setup. Landscape Portrait, well, it's taller than it's wide, so we're keeping Portrait. Adjust. I'm going to increase, and I don't know exactly how much. Maybe I'll start with 150. We can come back and increase it more later. Now, this is the Page tab in the Page Setup dialog box. Let's go over to Margin. Now, I would like to center it, and I could use these manual ones over here, but I'm just going to click Horizontal. I can already see the preview like it's centered. Now I'm going to come over to Header Footer. And what I'm interested in is the footer. Now, the way it works is there are some built-in footers. I don't see anything I want there because what I would like is I would like to show the Sheet tab name. So it is blank down here, but we can build our own custom footer by clicking Custom Footer. Now, notice we're 2 dialog boxes deep. There are 3 sections, and I want to click in the center. And there's some great buttons over here. Notice each one of them, as I hover, tells me what they do. Things like date, time, file path. That would give me the entire file path. File name, and that's the one I want. Sheet name, so I'm going to click Sheet name. That's code that means no matter what I type down here, it will always now show up in the center footer. Click OK. Now, if we go over to Sheet tab, notice Print Area was put in because we used that option from the Page Layout tab. Now I'm going to click OK. Control P to check out Print Preview, and there we go. I think I'm going to increase the scale on this a bit. Escape. Back up to page layout. Page setup launcher. And I'm going to increase, I'm going to go all the way to 200. So there it is. Click OK. Now if I Control P, I have built a fraction to decimal conversion table that I can use whenever I want. Print it out, and there you go. And escape, I'm going to Control S. All right, now there are some homework problems over on the sheet homework 1 to 4, and there's some answers both by hand answers and in Excel. All right, in this video, we talked about going from a fraction to a decimal. We even built our own conversion table. Over here on Convert, we built a more complicated table with all sorts of fractions. And we saw how in Excel, when we're converting a decimal to a fraction, when trying to find all the prime factors, sometimes it's easier in Excel than it was by hand. We did this one at the beginning of the video by hand. All right, well, if you like that video, be sure to click that thumbs up and leave a comment and sub, because there's always lots more videos to come from Excel is Fun, including video number 16. Next video, we'll see how to multiply and divide fractions. All right, we'll see you next video.